So today, we're diving into something that sounds a bit technical, but is actually a huge deal in the AI world: LLM Judge Fragility. And trust me, this is important, because it reveals a surprising crack in the very foundation of how we test our most advanced AI systems. Let's get right into it. Okay, let me ask you a question to get started. Imagine you're taking a test. What if you could boost your score, not by actually knowing more, but just by changing the spacing? Adding a few extra line breaks. Sounds a little crazy, right? Well, that's pretty much the perfect analogy for the problem we're going to unpack today. The key idea here is something called LLM as a judge, and it's exactly what it sounds like. We use one powerful AI, think something like GPT-4, to automatically grade or evaluate the answers coming from another AI. This is basically how the entire industry tries to keep up with testing at a massive scale.
So you might be wondering, why are we even doing this? Why have AIs judging other AIs in the first place? Well, like so many things in tech, it really all comes down to one word: scale.
I mean, just think about it. There are literally millions of AI interactions happening every single day. There's just no way we could have humans check every single one. So we rely on these AI judges to do the heavy lifting, to automatically check for safety issues, screen for harmful content, or even just score how well a model is doing on a particular test. They're basically the automated quality control department for the AI world.
But here's the catch, and it's a big one. It turns out these incredibly powerful judges have a surprisingly simple blind spot, a weakness that, as we're about to see, is pretty easy to exploit.
The trick is based on what researchers call meaning-preserving perturbations. Now, that's a mouthful, but all it really means is making tiny, simple changes to the text that don't change the meaning at all, but they can completely fool the AI judge. Why? Because the AI has learned to spot patterns, and it starts to associate things like formatting with quality. Let's look at a couple of clear examples.
Okay, check this out. The simplicity here is really what's so shocking. On the left, you've got a perfectly good answer, and the judge gives it a 6 out of 10. Now look to the right. It is the exact same text. The only thing that's different is 2 little line breaks were added in the middle. And just for that, the judge bumps the score up to an 8 out of 10. The substance didn't change one bit, but the formatting tricked the system into thinking it was a better answer. And here's another one, the verbosity trick. The original response is short, sweet, and to the point. The answer is 42. It gets a 7 out of 10. But now look at the modified version. It adds all this meaningless fluff to elaborate after careful consideration of all factors before giving the exact same answer. The AI judge sees this longer response and, what do you know, gives it a 9 out of 10. It has a built-in bias for verbosity, rewarding length instead of actual substance.
So a few extra line breaks gets you a better score. You might be thinking, okay, so what? Who cares? Well, this little trick has some very, very serious real-world consequences. This isn't just about gaming a test. This is about the fundamental integrity of our AI safety and evaluation systems.
Think about it. If a bad actor wants to sneak some harmful content past a safety filter, they could just tweak the formatting to fool the judge into thinking it's harmless. Or companies could artificially inflate their scores on public leaderboards, making their AI models look way better than they actually are. And maybe, worst of all, these automated QA systems could accidentally approve a dangerous or just plain broken AI update, all because of this tiny flaw. And just to be clear, this isn't some niche problem affecting a few old models. This vulnerability hits the biggest names in the industry. We're talking about the latest and greatest models from OpenAI, Anthropic, Meta, and Google. Yeah, the very systems that millions of us rely on every single day are vulnerable to this.
Now, for the good news. Since we know about this vulnerability, we can actually start to build a better, more robust judge. And thankfully, researchers have already laid out a pretty clear path on how we can fix this.
First up is input normalization. Basically, just strip out all that extra formatting before the judge even gets a look at it. Second, you have to stress test these judges specifically for these kinds of biases. Third, you need to pick the right tool for the right job. A bigger model isn't always a better judge. And finally, for the really tough or critical cases, you absolutely need a human in the loop as the final say.
And really, this all boils down to one core lesson, doesn't it? We need to build automated systems that are smart enough to look past the surface, to ignore the flashy formatting and the extra fluff, and actually evaluate the substance of what is being said.
This whole situation leaves us with a much bigger question to think about. As these AI systems become more and more powerful and more integrated into every part of our lives, how do we make sure that the very systems designed to guard them are truly foolproof? That is one of the most critical challenges ahead of us.
Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. I'll see you on the next one.